Pessoal, sejam bem-vindos mais uma vez na nossa série Como Fazer Negócios no Vale do Silício. Hoje a gente tem uma grande amiga nossa, Jolynn Valejo, que é diretora da Latin SF. É uma instituição que tem nos ajudado muito no Vale e eu convidei a Jolynn para estar sendo entrevistada hoje. Jolynn, welcome. Thank you for having us today. It's a pleasure to having you here.
Good morning. Thank you, Juarez. It's so nice to be here. It's so nice to share with you. We've obviously been working together for about 1.5 years now. And if anything, thank you. You know, without Apex support, I don't think we could drive so many Brazil initiatives forward.
Okay. Jolynn, thank you. Could you tell us more about LatinSF and how does it work and main object?
Sure. So LatinSF is a division of San Francisco City Hall. I think in Brazil we say prefeitura,
Yes.
or in Spanish, alcaldía. San Francisco City Hall has 3 divisions, one for China, one for Latin America, and one for Asia. And what San Francisco would like to do is increase cross-border trade, foreign direct investment, and the creation of employment opportunities here in San Francisco, but specific to these 3 regions. San Francisco has always been a very diverse ecosystem of entrepreneurship and innovation, and we recognize that a lot of that comes from foreign founders, especially from Brazil.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Jolynn, could you tell us about how important is San Francisco to the Silicon Valley? And could you give some data, economic data, in order to show this importance? How important is it?
Yeah, that's a great question because we love all of the Bay Area. And of course, Silicon Valley, South Bay Peninsula has always been a very strong economic region. But lately, and I'm speaking about the last, 4 years, we're really seeing how that innovation and how those new IPOs are coming from San Francisco. So if I take you back a little bit in history, Silicon Valley has its name because of the big players from the dot-com boom and the big players that have helped shape technology. So I'm talking about Dell, Intel, Microsoft, a lot of Oracle, all of these companies that sort of shifted the way we do work in business. But in the recent years, we're looking at these very new sort of disruptors and change makers like Uber and Airbnb and Dropbox and DocuSign, and some of these companies that are really changing the way economies work with the shared economy, a lot of the fintech space. All of that is happening here in San Francisco now. So much so that, YC is opening more space in San Francisco. And this was announced, early this year. So a lot of the traditional companies that are known for having big space in Silicon Valley, LinkedIn is another one, they also have a large amount of space in San Francisco, and some are native to San Francisco. So again, looking at the most recent IPOs, and if we look from 2007 and above, we've had about 20 IPOs from San Francisco proper.
Wow.
Most recently, you have Twilio, you have Square, Fitbit, Slack, and some of the new IPOs that are going to come up, probably Stripe, Instacart. I think that if we're looking at data, more specifically, a lot of these IPOs and a lot of these companies are large because of the concentration of venture capital that we have in the San Francisco Bay Area and in San Francisco proper. So for example, just to give you an idea, 2019, there were about $60 billion of venture capital that was invested here in San Francisco. And much of that was funds that are already native to the area. 2018, we had a little bit more. It was 70 billion, 70. So if you look at venture capital across the nation, across the United States, we still have about 62% of that just concentrated in this area. So, you're thinking about San Francisco and the Bay Area, and it's like, we're so small because the city itself doesn't even have 1 million people. But when you're looking at the economic transactions, you can see why we're so important. And if you look on a global scale, let's pretend that the Bay Area is a country. Let's just pretend we would be number 19th for largest economy in the world. So California, the state of California, is the 5th largest economy in the world.
Yeah.
The Bay Area, San Francisco, South Bay, East Bay, is actually the 19th largest economy in the world, with an estimated GDP of 748 billion.
Yeah.
So, it's a lot. And then
this
data, if you're interested, because I know I've said 2019, 2018, the most recent data, if we're looking at 2020, just this first quarter, right before, all this COVID-19 starts happening, we still had 35% of venture capital deals here in San Francisco, compared to New England, East Coast only had 10.9%, just under 11%. And within those deals, because one thing is the quantity of deals, 10, 20 deals. Another thing is the amount of money in each deal, so the value of the deal. In Q1, so for that first quarter, we had 62% of value of deal, meaning concentration of money, compared to 12% in the East Coast. Those are the most recent numbers that I have. So I hope that answers your question a little bit about the importance of this region.
Very impressive. Thank you. And Jolynn, taking into consideration your experience in the region, what will be your advice to the Brazilian content companies and startups willing to do business here and set up operations in San Francisco?
Yeah, it's very tricky because we have all this data and all this flux of money, but San Francisco is not an easy city. It's expensive. There's a lot of competition.
Yeah.
So the number one thing I would recommend to Brazilian entrepreneurs is to really do your homework. Have a plan before you come. And when I mean do your homework, look at all possible competitors in your field. If you have a SaaS product, look at who else is developing something similar. And you may not know what's out there because it's not public yet. Start talking to some of the accelerators that are here and look at what verticals they're working on. I think one of the best ways actually to get your foot in the door is to apply to an accelerator. And we have so many here in the Bay Area. You have Skydeck, which is part of UC Berkeley.
Yes.
We have, there's StartX, which isn't an accelerator, but it's affiliated to Stanford, and you just have to have a Stanford alum or professor recommendation.
500.
There's YC, there's 500 startups. There's so many that can allow you to get the foot in the door. But let's assume you don't want to do that. Let's assume you feel ready to launch your product or your service. You want to come really lean. You want to use your money for the right things. You want to hire the right person for talent, whether that's for business development or whether that's for your technical team. I personally have seen really great technical founders from Brazil, so I don't think you need to come here and invest in a top-notch engineer. My best advice would be invest in the right person that will understand your product or service and can sell directly to the US market, because revenue and driving sales is what is going to give you stability, but also attract that venture capital that you need. If you don't have enough of that revenue, then you're not going to be able to succeed. So I think one of the biggest mistakes that I see foreign founders, not just from Brazil, but from all over Latin America, is they come here and they don't hire the right business development team. And sometimes it's just hiring that one person. And for early stage founders, I would recommend trying to find someone that's really excited about your product and that will accept a little bit of equity, because the salaries here are outrageous.
Yes.
And I think with the fluctuation with the Brazilian real, you're $180,000 a year to hire, a VP of business development. And that's probably on the low end, right? I'm talking really early stage here. It might be better to just get someone that has a little bit of equity involved, because that person that you hire may not even stay with you for a year. Talent here moves very quickly. And I think that that's not something that we're used to in Latin America.
Thank you, Jolynn. It's very important to say that I think that people should work here for at least 6 months in order to know the market, do the contacts. It's very important. Networking here in San Francisco is very, very important. So you have to spend time to connect with the right people and in order to get access to the market. Thank you very much for your advice. It's very valuable. And
thing to that. Could I add something to that? I think that also it's really important for Brazilian founders to be in touch with Apex and to be in touch with LatinSF.
Yeah.
We're here for free to help you. We are government sponsored, paid by the city of San Francisco. And we're really here to just help you grow, because if you grow and your company does well, I look good. Apex looks good.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times founders are afraid to ask, or they think that later we're going to charge the money or something like that. I don't know if that's your experience, Fares, but I feel like that happens to us a lot. You know, they don't want to ask for too much help. They're afraid.
No, thank you. Thank you for your help. And Jolynn, in your opinion, what's the main sectors that you think that you have opportunity for the Brazilian companies here?
Well, there's plenty of different sectors that are doing well in San Francisco. I think I would throw that question back to what are the strongest sectors in Brazil that could really expand to San Francisco. But to give you an idea, I think right now, anything that's being developed in what we call biotech or life sciences, anything in Brazil that feels that could go cross-border, I think would do really well here. Even in the medical tech hardware space, we've got a lot of different innovation ecosystems that are popping around the city. So you have the Mission Bay area, you have that dog patch area where founders might, find a really cool team to work with. And that's when more innovation happens, because you bring a talented Brazilian next to a talented Bay Area resident and boom, something even better happens, right? So I would say biotech, life sciences, anything of that nature is strong. Food tech and food innovation is another strong one. And we're seeing a lot of developments in what we call the future of food. We know that our population in the world is growing, and we know that we need to find ways to feed our people efficiently. So if you're interested in food tech, in driving different vegetarian proteins to a diet, this is also a place to start developing that. Anything smart cities related is also important. Definitely something that we'd like to adopt as a city. And then if you take a look at the outside of the Bay Area, just our surrounding areas, I think ag tech or agricultural technology, I know is strong in Brazil, and I think it could do very well here in California. So if we're looking just outside, from Berkeley all the way up to Davis, Fairfield, that whole area, lots of different companies that would very easily adopt some agricultural tech.
Yes. As Apex-Brasil, we have been working two kind of sectors that will be agri-tech and fintech. So we are waiting to assemble all the things that happened with COVID, but in the second semester we are thinking having some mission to develop related to the ag tech and fintech. But okay, thank you again. And Jolynn, also you have been dealing with a lot of foreign agents. What's your importance? What is the importance of the export promotion investment attractions agents like Apex-Brasil working in San Francisco?
I couldn't be more happy that we have agencies like yours here in San Francisco. Apex is one of our big partners. There's also the different ones that exist in Latin America. We have Forum Peru, we have Pro Colombia. But Apex is so important for us because Brazil is so important for us. Yeah. And so, for me to be able to give you a call or to touch base with you on a question or on data that I don't have clear, or for example, if I'm looking to take a trade mission of some high-level CEOs or government officials from San Francisco or larger Bay Area to Brazil, I need your help. So if we didn't have Apex here in San Francisco, I think my job would be a lot harder. And I also feel that the importance of the business that happens between Brazil and San Francisco wouldn't be as strong. I think Brazilians need a landing ground, and until they find other people that can help them, not just LatinSF, but other people in their networking, they may not know where to go. But if they know Apex is here, then you have that first step to take, right? And also, as you know, Juarez, we have our LatinSF coalition where all of these agencies meet together and we get an opportunity to share information with each other. And sometimes it's information on new companies that are hiring or companies that are looking for venture capital and we can help each other, or venture capitalists that are investing in the verticals that some of the Brazilian companies are looking for. So yeah. I feel really happy that Apex is here, and we also really liked the space where you were supporting those entrepreneurs over on Sutter Street. That was really important too, because entrepreneurs need that space to have a little bit of a landing ground until they're on their feet, right?
Okay. Thank you, Jolynn. Once you have just offered, if some Brazilian companies want to contact LatinSF, how this company can access you?
Yeah, the easiest way for sure is to go to our website, which is very easy. It's LatinSF.org. So LATIN.org.
Yeah.
And on the website, you have all the information. You have my contact information. You have our generic email, which is latinsf@globalsf.biz. But you can also look at our board. You can look at our coalition. There's all kinds of information on the website. But the easiest is latinsf@globalsf.biz. That would be our general email. And if you can't remember that one, very easy, info@globalsf.biz.
Okay. Thank you, Jolynn, for your time and for your advice. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me here today.
Ok. Pessoal, mais uma vez, agradecendo a Jolynn pela participação. Se vocês quiserem saber mais dos programas de internacionalização da Apex, por favor, entrem lá no nosso site, apexbrasil.com.br, e vocês podem procurar todo o nosso programa de internacionalização de startups, principalmente o nosso Startup Brasil, que tem uma série de missões. Além disso, nós temos nosso escritório em Miami e também temos aqui em São Francisco para apoiar o soft landing dessas empresas. Muito obrigado e sucesso nos negócios. Um abraço.